So, the US government has now released the much-awaited JFK assassination files, as they promised. These files are very thick, but Israel has again come into controversy due to this. I will come to that shortly, but the released documents were quite long. Approximately 80,000 pages were released. However, here I will tell you the main points mentioned in the file and who really killed President John Fitzgerald Kennedy in 1963. But first, those who don't know, John F. Kennedy was the 35th President of the United States of America, a very confident leader with a bold personality, who was assassinated on November 22, 1963, in the U.S. state of Texas. These JFK files are all about his assassination. As JFK was known for his critical stance toward certain U.S. government agencies, particularly the CIA and the military, during his time in office, many people believe that the CIA was involved in the killing of President Kennedy. However, this is still a theory because no valid evidence has emerged to confirm whether the CIA was involved or not. So, to this date, his assassination remains a hot topic in the US. Now, in the released JFK files, many details have been provided regarding the assassination of President Kennedy and what the US government was doing at that time. In the file, the main culprit behind President John F. Kennedy's assassination is still mentioned as Lee Harvey Oswald, a Native American with Marxist ideology. In simple terms, he was a person who believed in Karl Marx's theory, which critiques capitalism, focusing on class struggle, the exploitation of workers, and advocating for a revolution to create a classless, stateless society through socialism and communism. Oswald enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps in 1956 at the age of 17, where he served as a radar operator. However, due to some incidents of disciplinary problem, he was court-martialed once in 1959 for an altercation involving a fellow Marine. Interestingly, in 1959 itself, he moved to the Soviet Union and stayed there for nearly 3 years. By the way, that was during the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, so his travel to the Soviet Union remains a mystery. Also, some pages detail that he married a Soviet girl there, which was again uncommon at that time. He and his wife then returned to the United States in 1962. In the same year, 1962, it was either a coincidence or just random that the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, where the world was on the brink of World War III. But after 1 year of his return from the Soviet Union, on November 22, 1963, while President Kennedy was in a motorcade in the Dallas area of Texas with Secret Service around him, the 24-year-old Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots at Kennedy from a 6th-floor window of the Texas School Book Depository, fatally wounding Kennedy. The event shocked the world, and Oswald was arrested soon after the assassination. Here, you can also see the very famous picture of that incident. In the released documents, it is mentioned that the Secret Service noticed certain irregularities, but no clear conclusions are made regarding their involvement in the event. Now, the thing is that even today, it is hard to understand why he did that. Nobody has the answer, and even the released files do not provide these details. We can only assume that he had expressed strong views against US policies, especially its stance on Cuba and the Soviet Union. The files include reports and memos, some of which mention conspiracy theories suggesting Oswald might have had a bigger plan to kill Kennedy. Oswald was charged with the murder of President Kennedy, but before he could stand trial, he was shot and killed by nightclub owner Jack Ruby on November 24, 1963, while being transferred from the city jail to the county jail. This incident, occurring in a public setting and captured on live television, has fueled numerous conspiracy theories about the assassination. Jack Ruby claimed that he killed Oswald out of emotional outrage over Kennedy's death, especially because he was deeply affected by the tragedy. Another thing mentioned in the JFK files is about Gary Underhill, an American writer and researcher who focused on military topics. He had important connections in the U.S. government, particularly with the Pentagon. During World War II, he worked for the U.S. military as a technical editor and eventually became the chief editor in the Military Intelligence Division, which helped gather and analyze information for the military. He was promoted to the rank of captain in the General Staff G2, which was the part of the military responsible for intelligence. For his hard work and dedication, he was awarded the Army Commendation Medal for meritorious service. Following President John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, Underhill reportedly expressed concerns about CIA involvement, stating that Kennedy had been killed by a a small clique in the CIA. He visited friends in New Jersey and was very upset. He told them that a small group inside the CIA was behind the assassination. He was scared for his life and thought he might have to leave the country. He was also a friend of Samuel Cummings, an arms dealer whose customers included the CIA. Less than 6 months later, he was found dead in his Washington apartment. The officials declared it a suicide, which again is hard to digest but was the official ruling. Now, further in the documents, a letter was found where it is claimed that U.S. officials were warned about Oswald months before JFK's assassination but did nothing. Interestingly, the warning was given by Russian Ambassador Sergei Zornono, who was posted in Washington, D.C. at that time. He also predicted that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be killed later. Now, further in the documents, a lot of stories are written, but then comes an interesting page where it is mentioned that Jake's son, John F. Kennedy Jr., wrote a letter to Joe Biden, where he mentioned him as a traitor. Now, no one can explain the story behind this letter because there is no more information. Many government officers and personalities are also commenting on the JFK files released. For example, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, commented, writing that this marks a new era of maximum transparency. But all things aside, now I will tell you how Israel came into controversy. In the released documents, you can clearly see that it is written that the CIA has no objection to declassification or release of any CIA information in this document, except for brackets. In these brackets, you can see Israel is clearly written. Although the spelling, Israel, is visible, people are blaming that a request was made to redact the name, Israel, which may be true due to security reasons, as it is a secret document. This document dates back to 1954, 9 years before the JFK assassination, so the dots are not connecting with each other. Also, in this page, nothing special is written, it is just someone's travel history, which the CIA may want to keep exclusive because that era was completely different. Many people have theorized that JFK was against Israel for developing nuclear weapons, and that the Israeli government of that time assassinated him. This theory might be true or might be wrong, but nobody can do anything about it. It is only known by the US government whether Israel was really involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy or not. But for the time being, these are all conspiracy theories because nobody has any solid evidence. So, at the end of the day, the JFK files have a lot of information regarding how the assassination was carried out, but they have now created more confusion. 80,000 pages were released, and thousands of them are blurry and unreadable. A new person is introduced in every section, and at the end of the story, no clear conclusion is reached regarding the JFK assassination. The documents address various conspiracy theories, but they do not provide conclusive evidence supporting claims of a coordinated plot involving external entities or intelligence agencies. Also, the Warren Commission, which was formed to investigate President John F. Kennedy's assassination, concluded that Oswald acted alone in the killing of the president. Many experts claim that there were two shooters, but there is no real or solid evidence to prove this claim. So, from every angle, Lee Harvey Oswald remains the main villain. But from the JFK files, it gives everyone an insight into how the US government worked. There are a lot of dark secrets also revealed, like what the US had planned for Cuba, Mexico, and other nations, how many secret bases the US had during that time, how the US was spying on different nations, and other things. Surely, there are many more key JFK files that the US government or Trump may never release because they could harm US national security and its status. But still, it is a bold move that Donald Trump released this much data regarding the US. However, the revelation of US aid was an even bigger move he made. So, what do you think about the JFK files release? Do you think Lee Harvey Oswald committed the crime, or is he the scapegoat for the powerful people who do not want the truth to come out? Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.